Hello, MCU fans. Today we're going to look at the question of which of the Guardians of the Galaxy members may not make it out of the next movie, Volume 3. Now, we know that this is James Gunn's last movie. Not the last time we'll see the Guardians, but he's made it clear this is the last time this current lineup of the Guardians may be around. So he's kind of hinted at there's going to be some tragedy in this movie as one or maybe even more characters in the current lineup don't make it out alive. And of course, we know from James Gunn's movie over at DC, The Suicide Squad, that he definitely has a tendency to kill off a lot of characters. So I suspect we're going to be in for some heartbreak in this next movie. So let's dive right in and see which of the Guardians we think may not make it out of Volume 3. Now, there has already been a lot of death and grief in Phase 4, and it's going to be most prominent in the upcoming Wakanda Forever. I mean, we're dealing with the tragic real-world death of Chadwick Boseman, but it's going to be reflected by the characters in the movie and the in-universe death of King T'Challa. In fact, this may be one of the first times, if not the first time, that the actors in a movie are dealing with the death of a character, but are really dealing with the death of their friend in real life. It's going to be a heartbreaking movie. But yeah, it is a good example of the death and grief that we've had to deal with, or will soon be dealing with, in Phase 4. But it's not the only time. You know, we had Wanda dealing with the death of Vision. We had Yelena dealing with the death of Natasha. We had Sam Wilson dealing with the loss of his friend Steve. And then we had Spider-Man, Peter Parker, dealing with not only the death of his mentor, Iron Man, but of course the death of his precious Aunt May. So, wow, it's been a rough Phase 4 for the characters. But it's going to carry over into Phase 5 because we're going to see a lot, I believe, of the current Guardians not make it out of this movie. So let's talk about that. Let's try to figure out which of the Guardians are not going to make it out. We'll start with Exhibit A, Kraglin. Now, ironically, Kraglin is played by James Gunn's brother. So, I mean, would James Gunn really kill his own brother in a movie? Well, of course he would. It's James Gunn. But I don't think that he will. Kraglin's story is kind of just being reinvigorated because he's gotten a hold of, Yondu's fin in honor of Yondu and the arrow. So I tend to believe that we're going to see Kraglin continue on into the next generation of Guardians. And so I'm going to give him a 95% chance of survival. Now, you're going to notice I'm not going to give anyone a 100% or a 0% because it's James Gunn and you cannot predict the guy. So he may kill off his own brother, but I'm going to give him a 95% chance of survival. Exhibit B, Mantis. Killing Mantis, wouldn't that be like killing a puppy dog? I mean, she's so sweet. She's so innocent. They can't kill Mantis, right? Well, actually, that's all the more reason James Gunn would kill her. But, in fact, think Polka Dot Man from The Suicide Squad, if you saw that movie. But I honestly think that her power set is very interesting. It'll be fascinating to see how they continue to use it going forward. I just think it would be a waste of a character for her to die. I honestly think she's going to make it out, and I'm going to give her a 90% chance of survival that we are going to see her again in future Guardians movies. Exhibit C, Star-Lord. Oh man, get ready for your first heartbreak because I don't think he's going to make it out. I think he's going to come to terms with the fact that the new Gamora, if you will, the one that came forward from 2014 in Endgame, that she just doesn't love him. They don't have the same life experiences. She has not fallen in love with him. And so he's come to accept that it's just not going to be. But a beautiful way to finish his arc would be for him to end up giving his life in battle for her specifically. Somehow his sacrifice is for her. And it lets her ultimately realize, oh wow, this guy really did love me. He didn't mean anything to me, but I meant something to him, and he died for me. When you combine the fact that I think Chris Pratt has kind of alluded to this being his last Guardians movie, I am giving him a 5% chance of survival. So sorry, Star-Lord, it's going to be tough. He's going to be a tough one to see go. He's been through so much tragedy already in his life. Then you got Gamora. So Gamora, I just don't see them killing Gamora because she's already died, right? She died and they brought her back, and then just to kill her again? No, I think instead, if I'm correct, that Star-Lord dies and somehow he is directly the reason that she lives, I think she will then have a very interesting character arc having to deal with that, trying to wrap her head around those emotions. And again, I just don't think killing her a second time makes any sense. So I'm going to give her an 85% chance of survival. Then we have Exhibit E, Nebula. Nebula is a fascinating character. Every movie, she continues to grow on me. She really annoyed me in the first movie, but she's continued to grow on me. And I also think there's now an interesting story arc, if I'm correct about Star-Lord's death, with her having to help Gamora overcome this grief and find her new life in her new timeline, if you will. So I really think Gamora is going to Nebula is going to stay around, and I think I've not heard that Karen Gillan is unhappy at all with the character. So I'm going to give her a 75% chance of survival. I think there's a better chance she might die than Gamora, but I honestly think both will live. Then we have Exhibit F, Drax. Good old lovable Drax. It's interesting. Drax's storyline is kind of wrapped up because he's lost his family, so then he wanted revenge, and he's gotten that revenge on Thanos, at least by seeing Thanos die. I mean, he didn't kill Thanos, but he knows that Thanos has died actually twice. So really his story is done. When you combine the fact that Dave Bautista has kind of alluded to, I don't want to put on this makeup and go shirtless anymore, which is why I think he's wearing a shirt in Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. We'll see if he ends up shirtless again in Volume 3. But he's kind of implied he's done with the character. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we're not going to see Drax make it through. I'm going to give him a 10% chance, but I think it's very, very low chance that he makes it out alive. Then we have Groot. Groot, similar to Gamora, has already died. And in Groot's case, he came back on his own. They just replanted him. I think basically there isn't any way to kill Groot other than dropping him in a vat of acid or sending him in a rocket ship into the heart of the sun, and neither of which I think Gunn will do, although you just never know with James Gunn. But yeah, there's just no reason to kill Groot again. No, I think there's a very good chance he will survive. I'm actually giving him a 95% chance of survival. Nobody's getting 100, but I do think very, very likely that he will survive. And then Exhibit H, Rocket Raccoon. Oh, man. I honestly think he's going to be the one I'm going to be the saddest to see go, because I do not think he's going to make it throughout the movie. Now, his storyline isn't done yet, but I think it will be by the time that Volume 3 ends. I think he's going to learn, or he's going to re-meet who created him, because a High Evolutionary is supposed to be in the movie, and I believe High Evolutionary created Rocket. So whether Rocket remembers him when he sees him, or whether he just learns that that's how he was created, he's going to want revenge because of what was done to him. And I think it would be a very heroic death for him to die killing ultimately the High Evolutionary and preventing others from going through what Rocket had to go through. That would be a very nice full circle to things, since he spent so much time not being happy with him, how he's been treated, and how he was turned into this thing, if you will, as he calls himself. So yeah, I think there's a 1% chance that he survives. Again, I'm not going to go 0, and I'm not going to go 100. It's James Gunn. But there's almost no chance he makes it out. And also, I've seen that Bradley Cooper, the actor playing Rocket, voicing Rocket, I should say, has kind of talked about wanting to do things that only stories that he's created or been directly involved in. So, it's not that he's disappointed being Rocket, but I think he's going to move on from it. So, unfortunately, we're going to see the end of Rocket, and that's going to be sad. It's going to be very sad. Sad indeed. All right, so then it raises the question of, will we see new Guardians joining the team? There were several potential members in the Ravagers that were introduced at the end of Guardians 2, and so maybe some of these folks will join the team by the end of 3. Likewise, Warlock is going to be an adversary in the movie, but perhaps by the end of the movie, he'll join the team. So we may actually see a new team forming, along with losing several old members. So, bottom line, let's enjoy our final adventures with this Guardian team, because I think even in this very picture, 3 of those folks are not going to make it out alive. It's going to be a tough movie, but it's going to be a great movie because James Gunn finds a way to mix humor and sorrow, and then humor again, back to back, in ways that just really pull at your emotions. So there you have it. Let me know who you think will or won't make it out of the Guardians movie, and also if you think there'll be some new Guardians joining during the movie. And in the meantime, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, check out some other content, and let's all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, ever-expanding Marvel Cinematic Universe.